Time for the final race of the second day of activity here for Superbikes at Road Atlanta from MotoAmerica. Absolutely beautiful afternoon after a heavy rain overnight and a wet morning. It is absolutely glorious out there. The track is fast, conditions are wonderful, and we are pumped because the class coming up often produces some of the most exciting racing of any weekend. It's REV'IT Twins Cup coming your way here from Road Atlanta. I'm Greg Creamer, joined as always by Roger Hayden, and I promised you a special guest. Kayla Yakov is up here, and obviously, Kayla, we'd much rather be calling you down there on the racetrack, still recovering from the injury. You've been doing lots of yeoman duty for us. You've been down there in the pits. You've been up here in the booth. You've been down there coaching riders. You've been doing a bit of everything. You're seeing things from all sides for this event, aren't you? Yeah, running around for you guys has been pretty fun. Not as much running, I'd say hobbling around, but yeah, it's been pretty good, and I'm super excited to call this race. I think it gives me an opportunity to not only see what the guys have, but to also be here and do stuff for MotoAmerica. Well, and we certainly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some highlights from Twins Cup qualifying. And this guy, defending champ, looking strong right from the off, going out and having some good runs early. But things were going to change up here. Blake Davis looking strong and putting in some really good runs, and ended up at the end of that qualifying session qualifying in the third spot. It was nice to see. You expect Blake to always be up near the front, but Jody Berry, Roger, obviously he started off with an absolute flourish last year and then faded a little bit. Good to see him up near the sharp end again. Yeah, it's great to see him back toward the front where he belongs, and you know he can win races in this class. This track last year he was really fast at, so I expect him to be one of the guys that can hopefully run with Rocco. Well, and speaking of Rocco, he came out in that qualifying session and absolutely just destroyed the thing, obliterating the track record by a ton, Kayla. He just looks at one with this bike. He had so much success in this class before. It's not unfamiliar to him at all, is it? Yeah, no, it's really, really impressive to see from him, and obviously for him, he's trying to prove something this weekend, and I think he's done that so far. I don't think there's any question of that. You can see qualifying fourth, Gus Rodeo, winning one of the races at the opening round at Daytona. Hayden Schultz fifth, Stefano Mesa in sixth, another winner at Daytona filling in for Kayla, and then Joe Lamandri Jr. stepping up from Junior Cup. Jackson Blackman back after an injury last year, and Cody Wyman as well up into those top three rows.
REV'IT Twins Cup coverage is brought to you by REV'IT Apparel, Design, Innovation, and Performance. REV'IT. By Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Had an absolutely beautiful aerial shot there of this great facility. Now down to the business end of things, on the grid, on the front straight, getting ready to go here. And oh, look at that. Sonny Landers came in last night so he could watch Rocco run. That is absolutely great to see. And I want to pick your brain a little bit, Kayla, real quick about Stefano, filling in for you here. What's he been telling you about the bike, how it's working here? We saw him have one heck of a race in Super Sport Start 6 today on your bike. Yeah, I actually didn't get to talk to him too much this weekend so far, but I'm talking with Melissa and the team, just battling some setup issues, and I think that's a result of not being able to set a lot of things up at Daytona. You know, Daytona is one of the least physical tracks on the calendar, and now we go to somewhere like Road Atlanta where it's pretty hard on the bike. So big thing for them was setup, and I think that's what they've worked on all weekend, and hopefully he has a pretty good package for this race, and I know the team's put a good bike under them. Yeah, Daytona is about as unique a track as it gets. It's like nothing else out there. So now we get ready for a classic road course and one of the most roller coaster speed runs you're going to imagine. There is that lineup, and look at that time. Rocco Landers on the 97 at a 1:31.9. Almost a second over Jody Berry. Blake Davis another 4/10 back. Then it gets real snug. Gus Rodeo in fourth, Hayden Schultz, and then a little bit of a gap to Stefano as you were talking about working on those setup issues. Joe Lamandri Jr. there in seventh. Jackson Blackman, what a return. Great to have him back. He had a great couple of races at Daytona. Cody Wyman there, and then Chris Parrish, Cassidy Heiser, and Dominic Doyle, who had a rough couple of races at Daytona. And as we take a look at the rest of the field here, Dominic Doyle, I mean, he was fast at Daytona. Ooh, got a red
Hayden
flag.
Schultz. That's Hayden Schultz down on the warm-up lap. Jody Berry. That's Jody Berry as well.
No.
That's really unfortunate. Yeah. especially on the warm-up lap to be down this early. It looks like Hayden Schultz might be trying to go into the pits as well. He's lost a visor, so that's very unfortunate for those two because they're definitely the ones that have wanted to really make that step to be in it for the championship.
Yeah, quali 2 and quali 5 for those two guys. So 2 of the top 6 involved in the We Go Yellow and actually a red flag right from the off. Now, I mean, Hayden was able to get going again. The question is, what about Jody Berry? If he gets that thing up and it's runnable, are they going to have any time to be able to get that bike fixed, get him back out?
Yeah, well, it's all dependent on this red flag and how long it takes. I mean, looks like it was at the runoff of turn 5, so we'll see.
Well, let's see. We think we may have one angle. Check the top, we're being told, for the production. Here they come. There's 2 of them.
You can just see the end of it. Down. It looks like
they're together,
and Jody's, yeah, they were both together, and it looks like Jody's bike hit the wall pretty hard. So hopefully they're able to get that bike set up. Same with Hayden Schultz there. I'm sure Hayden Schultz had the least amount of impact on that bike. So looks like Jody Berry was sitting there for a while. So hopefully he's doing all right.
Yeah, I mean he did kind of a cartwheel there, and that's always a little bit concerning. But then we saw him get up, so that's
good
the
for both of them to be up and moving.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Yeah, and there's Jody up and standing. But I don't know what caused it, but Jody's got to be sitting there going, you know, whatever the cause was, going, I can't believe this.
I think both of them going through that on a warm-up lap. You don't really, I'm just curious if maybe somebody didn't crash in front of the other one and get collected. I mean, that's just speculation, but such a disappointment for both of those guys. They've been strong all week.
So now, after all that adrenaline, everything's pumped up.
Looks like Hayden's trying to get it back and going again. That would be good for him to hopefully try to remount and get some points.
He needs a visor.
Definitely needs a visor.
He just pointed, and I saw one of his crew guys just nod and take off. So they're working on that.
Looks like Hayden's airbag is still popped a little bit too.
I would possibly get a new helmet just in case something's broken. You can't get the shield on, and you start to run out of time. I would just put a new helmet on it and go.
Yeah, because sometimes those shields can take a while to put back on, and if you have a complication and then it comes off, it could be pretty difficult.
Yeah, Kayla, you noticed too that if the airbag deploys in the suit, does that mean you've got to do a new suit as well?
I mean, it depends on what airbag he's running. If he's running an Alpine Stars one, usually he should have one more, but looks like we have a report from Rocco.
Yeah, let's check in with Angel.
I grabbed Rocco sitting on the wall here. Just want to talk to you about what happened just now and how does that change your focus starting the race?
It doesn't at all. I mean, I already had like a plan in the race. It doesn't really affect anything really at all, actually. The bummer it happened. I was ready to get raced. I mean, it's gonna be it'll be tough to break these guys, but I mean it's worth a shot. So I'm gonna give that a go and then see what happens. Just hopefully pull out with a dub.
Sorry, I heard them say your dad flew in at the last minute to watch you race. How are you feeling about that?
It's good. It's good. It's always fun having my dad here. He was the guy on our Supersport program last year, and that was awesome. So it's always fun having my dad out here. I'm hoping he can make it to more rounds as well.
Looking forward to watching you out there. Thank you.
You kind of get the feeling with Rocco that his plan is he's got a freshie on, throw in a bunch of heaters. That's what he said yesterday. I think he's going to throw in a bunch this time.
I know he will. And I think with Rocco, it's going to be really cool to see him try to get out front, do what he's done in the Supersport category, especially toward the end of that season. And obviously for him, this is going to be a little bit of a easier class with tire management and things like that. So he won't have to worry as much in those first few laps. And like I said, at the end of the season last year, he had that dialed. So I'm pretty confident that he will be out front no matter what, and it'll be good to see. Hopefully the guys remaining in the race, we have Blake Davis, Gus Rodeo, hopefully Hayden Schultz if he's able to remount, and Stefano, I know they're all going to be there and trying to push him.
And that's Jody getting brought in on the back of the bike. Here's the number 128 of Chris Parrish. He's out of the runs the Gusto Ghetto Customs machine. I'll get that right. And he's an experienced rider.
Yeah, he won the title the first year of the class. So it's awesome to see him still out here racing and giving them young kids all they can handle.
That's so cool.
I remember racing him in Weira and on my 250. So to hopefully race him again this year will be cool. Here's another replay of the crash.
It's the next thing that pops into view there.
He's already down by then. So it looks like Hayden's bike was almost on the inside of Jody's, so I wonder if maybe Hayden went down and it brought Jody with him or something like that.
Yeah, well, just the way Jody sort of ejected,
Yeah.
you'd almost think that he hit and went over the top. So, I mean, pure speculation on our part because we didn't see it from any other angle, so we can't really explain it. But right away, you know, all the riders that came through there acknowledged it, and everybody slowed down. So it's just a matter of we haven't heard a definitive time scenario yet as to when we're going to be able to go back racing. But you know. Well, we're getting a report now that about a minute 45 seconds, and then the bikes will be heading out.
New helmet, looks like, for Hayden Schultz. So
all right.
Looks like they might be able to remount and go back out there. Let's hope that airbag goes down by the time he tries to get back out.
And even if the bike's not perfect, at least go out and try to get some points.
Exactly.
You know, he wants to go for this championship this year. The bike, you know, looks like they're taping maybe the windscreen and some other things. As long as it's safe, even though it's not perfect, you know, just go out there and try to get as many points as possible.
Well, he's third in the points here, 18 back of Gus Rodeo in the lead with Jackson Blackman in between them. So, you know, one thing, the first racing I ever did was on a 175 Yamaha short tracker, and back then, one thing that hasn't changed is baling wire and duct tape.
Yeah, with Hayden right now, I think, you know, having a DNF in this championship is something that you don't really want to have, especially if you're going for consistency and titles. And, you know, the biggest thing is consistency, and having those DNFs 0 points is hard, and you can't really, it's really hard to make those back, especially when you have some super strong riders in the field. And with Hayden, as well as being a super strong rider, I think, you know, getting those points today would be really crucial.
Also, last year we seen 2 titles tie at the end of the year.
Yep.
So that 1 point would have made a huge difference.
Everything. And both of you have dealt with this, but you know, when you get out there, you're all jacked up, you're ready to go, you're out on the install lap, and then you have, you know, normally you'll have the start, and then you have a red flag or something. You know, is there anything regimen-wise that you need to do to kind of get back into your head, into your zone, or like Rocco, you just said, no, I'm just doing what I was planning on anyway?
I think with red flags in a race, that sometimes can mess with your plans, but you know, racing's unpredictable, and you have to adapt to things. So it's always kind of that constant reevaluating what you want to do in lap to lap.
All right, and you can see some of the bikes starting to queue up. We are within 30 seconds, we're being told, of them being released out on one more installation lap to get ready to get this race underway. Well, we're waiting to hear what the lap count will be changed to, usually with a red flag. Times will come down, but this is the last race of the day. There is time on the schedule, so we'll see.
They took 1 lap away.
They did,
It's going to be an 11-lap race.
All right, so good. We get to see a fair amount of racing in this class. And track is open. Bikes are heading out to go out one more time, come around for a sighting lap, and then we will be getting ready with this REV'IT Twins Cup race. From the testing that you did, what did you find was the big jump? Because a number of riders, you know, we're looking at Gus Rodeo and others, Joe LeMandry Jr. and the like, that stepped up like you did out of Junior Cup. What was the big step that you had to adjust to with these?
I mean, there was a lot that you had to kind of go around, but I had been riding the R6 for a while leading up until the point where I was got onto the R7, so I think that definitely helped with my transition into the class. But yeah, just from understanding the rigidness of the R7 compared to the 400 was something that took a little bit longer than not longer than I thought, because like I said, I had that little bit of time, but it was definitely a lot different. But overall, I really enjoy the R7 and can't wait to get back at Barber and race with these guys.
Oh, I bet. And, you know, one of these Dunlops come up with some new tires this year, but it was, you know, the 400, you weren't running those tires in terms of the big change. It was just, you know, a different scenario. How do you like those Dunlops? Obviously, you were able to test on them, I would think.
The Dunlops are great. I mean, we were trying them at Roebling, and they felt amazing. I mean, just amazing feel. Dunlop put out a really good tire compound for us, and to actually have compounds this year as opposed to a standard tire for every person and every bike, it's cool, and I'm really enjoying the tires and the bike and everything that goes into this class.
Will you get the opportunity to ride before Barber?
Yeah, I should be going out and testing in the next few weeks, but yeah, here we can see Hayden Schultz, that bit of duct tape slapped on the front makes him a little bit easier to see out there.
That's great to hear that not only will you be back at Barber, but you get a little a seat time before that. That's fantastic. You know, to hear it, and obviously you want that just to be able to get the feel back, get the confidence back, I would think.
Of course. And it's good to see Hayden. Looks like he's able to kind of push the thing a little bit, considering the fact he just crashed. So glad to see him gritting back up. Yeah,
it's absolutely great to see. He's working his way up and getting into his position here. Obviously, we never even had a start. Never even had an actual race start, so everybody gets to resume their original position. Be interesting to see how that duct tape holds here when they race, come blasting down over turn 9. All right, let's get back to it. Take another look at that starting grid as things kind of got interrupted with that bizarre little incident. So we'll revisit it here as we get ready to go. We know, of course, that Rocco Landers is on pole with a very, very stellar lap. I mean, obliterating the track record. Jody Berry in second. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to come back, it doesn't look like. Blake Davis, a defending champion, there in third. Gus Rodeo. Hayden Schultz is able to come back. We'll see how the bike is. And then Stefano Mesa, Joe Lamandry Jr., Jackson Blackman, Cody Wyman. Those two, Lamandry and Wyman, up from Junior Cup as well. Parrish, Heiser, and Dominic Doyle looking to try and get some points back after a rough outing at Daytona. Ray Hoffman, Chase Brown, Daniel Garver, Darren James, Trevor Standish, and Jeffrey Perk. Next up, Alex Arango, who really was impressive at Daytona in the 200 race. Ryan Wolf, Joe Bittner, Brett Donahue, Joe Caputo, and Jeff Bean. And there's Jacob Grossman, Brogan Richards, and rounding out the field is Brad Foss. And so we are nice field, good number of entries out there, and we're looking forward to this race. I think in 11 laps, it's going to be plenty enough lap to have one heck of a show here. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what these guys can do now without Jody Berry kind of bridging that gap a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see what Blake and Gus can do, maybe even Hayden if he's able to get that start and have a good feeling with the bike to hopefully bridge that gap to Rocco. But looking into this race, we'll see how Dom does. I know he sprained his ankle at Daytona and is having some trouble shifting, so hopefully he can move forward on the grid as well.
I think a lot of guys know what Rocco's plan is and going to be aggressive that first lap and try not to let him get away.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue was that those first few S's, and he was able to kind of break away. So being able to have that right in front of you is maybe going to give them that little bit more that they need.
I loved his line. I don't know if I can break him, but hey, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
So this one should be a spectacular opening lap, and we're looking forward to it. 11 laps, REV'IT Twins Cup competition. And as always, folks, we'll bring those lights up into the box in the upper left. The lights come on, and when they go out, we go racing. And just waiting for the back of the field to set. Field is now ready. Open spot there where Jody Berry was. Watch for those lights. There, you'll know when they come on if you can't see them clearly because the bikes will tell you with the revs going up. Long hold. All right, we are ready. We're green. And it looked like a really good start by Blake Davis on the inside too. And it was. He was able to get inside. Yeah, Rocco slipped a bit. He's back and forth.
That was a quick light. I think it caught Rocco by surprise.
Yeah, and this is good for everyone else right now because they all know that Rocco has pace on them. So for him to be shuffled back a little bit is going to be good for them to at least lead a few laps maybe, or at least a few corners, and hopefully be out and maybe mess up his rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, and Rocco was quickly able to get back up to third. And then you could see right there in fourth, Blake Davis doing a nice job hanging onto that spot. Now, let's see as what we're going to see unfold here. It's Davis leading, then Gus Rodeo, and here comes Rocco up on the outside shoulder. And it's important to remember, of course, that Rocco and Gus here are teammates. And so, you know, obviously Rocco wants to make a point here, but he certainly doesn't want to do it, you know, at the expense of any risk to Gus.
Yeah, you know, obviously Rocco's a racer, but he also has to understand that Gus is in this championship for the whole season, and he's a fill-in rider right now. So obviously he's going to go out and win and try to win, but being generous with Gus is probably in his best interest.
And also having, you know, knowing he has a little pace on the other guys, he knows he can be somewhat patient. Don't throw it away trying to win the first lap.
And there we see Hayden Schultz there in fourth place, still running with these guys. So it's really cool to see from him, and hopefully he can stay with these guys till the end.
Absolutely. Look at that Rocco coming up along the outside of Gus as Davis leads down through the final turn. Lap one in the books. And here we go. Davis over Gus Rodeo across the line. Landers there, Hayden Schultz, Stefano Mesa, Jackson Blackman, Joe Lamondre, Cody Wyman, and Chris Parrish and Cassidy Heiser as they come by. And look at this.
Yeah, we can see that line choice.
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
different there. So you see that Rocco got a little bit better of a run up the hill, but it kind of can go both ways. You can get it squared up and maybe get a little bit better of a run like Gus had, or carry a lot more speed into the corner and run a little bit wider like Rocco did.
And sometimes it equalizes, doesn't it? Because you can run that wider line and you're actually running faster, but you're running a longer line.
Yeah.
And somebody that runs a little tighter, they may not be quite as quick, but by the time you get to the corner exit, it's about the same here. And I'm impressed right now with what we're seeing from Davis and Rodeo, because we know how fast Rocco is. And just wondering when Rocco is going to try and do something. He's shown the nose a few times, but he hasn't really made any kind of an aggressive move. Might that be coming here now?
Yeah.
Looks to the outside now, to the inside of Gus. Now back behind him again.
Just these top four, too, look like they're trying to make a break from the second pack. So Rocco
there
pulling
he
up
goes.
alongside of Gus Rodeo.
Yeah, he both went by Davis. And look at Davis coming back. And that's that draft, isn't it? He slipped back a little bit, got a little bit of a side toe, and right back down deep on the brakes. He's back in the lead.
And Hayden Schultz, he's right on these guys.
Yeah.
You had to think just.
He caught back so much in that braking zone, too. Looks like he has a little bit more pace, honestly, than some of the guys in front of him, at least in the braking zones. I'm sure after that crash, it's a little bit stunning. So now he's coming back on the braking zone. We see he was probably 5 bike lengths back and just crowds on the back of them. So really cool to see there.
Big adrenaline pump after that crash, I'm sure. So he's riding the wave right now, and that was a great repass, no question about that. But Rocco came by with him, and those two now, we're seeing them just easing away just a little bit at this point from Gus Rodeo, and then Hayden Schultz behind. Are these two now going to go and mano a mano? And at this stage, with Gus behind him, Rocco's not worried about a teammate. He's just worried about taking points.
And also Rocco last lap 33.4. You know, that's under the race lap record.
Yep.
That didn't take long, did it?
Rocco was actually around him on the outside, and Blake had gone right back underneath him. So it's good to see Blake's really roughing him up and trying to go for this win.
Yeah, he's not going quietly, that's for sure.
No, you can just tell that confidence with the #1 plate. I mean, beginning of last year, Blake wouldn't have did that. Now he's a lot more aggressive.
Oh, look at this. 3 wide. Yeah, you're familiar with this kind of stuff. Heading down into turn 4. Brett Donahue on the number 10 is parked.
I hope that's just a minor thing. Nope, he's losing power.
Yeah, hand up in the air. No, look at that. He is beside himself right now.
It's super unfortunate.
I mean, we've seen nothing but outright pace. Look at that. We knew he had
pace, and it's really unfortunate. But I know they'll come back tomorrow and race it up. Hopefully he's able to go in the pits. Maybe it's something minor, but honestly, with that smoke, it probably an engine or something along the lines. Now we just see Blake Davis and Gus Rodeo, and here's a replay of that smoke coming out from. It looks he's flipping that throttle.
You can hear it, yeah.
Yep, just right in front of Hayden. I think Hayden ducked to the inside to make sure there wasn't any oil on the track.
That's the worst spot to be for Hayden, behind somebody blowing smoke.
Yeah. And you wonder here, is that possibly a gearing issue where in that tow he ran out and just over revved it and broke
if you're
something?
on limiter for too long, maybe that could be something. But with this track, you're on the gas and full throttle for a long period of time, so it's definitely not the nicest thing on motors, but you can see he's definitely super frustrated walking back to the pits now.
Yeah.
But for him, he'll regroup. He'll be back at it tomorrow. And now we just look at the lead group with Hayden Schultz trying to bridge that gap again, because with Rocco having that small incident right in front of him, definitely broke that pack up. And you see Jackson Blackman trying to hold on to the back of Hayden Schultz too.
It looks like Gus and Blake Davis look like they're starting to kind of break away from the other two. But if they go back and forth like this, they could slow each other up.
And last lap, Gus just set fast lap of the race at a 1:33.480. And as we watch these guys out from under the bridge at 11, and right now Davis has it covered at this point as they exit, although Gus Rodeo is going to be right there. But let's check in with Angel, because I think she was able to get at least a little bit of information about Rocco. What happened?
I'm down here, I'm looking at Rocco's bike right now, and I overheard I think it was his father that said, or maybe the crew chief, the bottom end is intact, so it's something in the top end that went wrong. Saw a lot of smoke, and Rocco left pretty mad about it.
Yeah,
it's always not a good thing to have happen
No.
when you blow a motor or something like that in a race. So definitely disappointing for him. I know he's going to be super frustrated, but he'll come back tomorrow pretty strong.
And
yeah,
Blake
he had,
Davis
he had
and
to walk that off, didn't he,
Yeah.
Roger?
and Gus, I mean, they're both setting an incredible pace, 33.3, 33.2. I mean, those are just lap records. Each lap, they keep breaking them. You can tell what that's doing to the rest of the guys.
I mean, that 33.2, you know, that was better than the previous outright track record
By
here.
over half a second,
By
too.
over- yeah, I mean, it's quick. Not Rocco's track record, but still right there. So they are flying, and they have clearly made a break. So we've got a great battle unfolding here now between Hayden Schultz and Jackson Blackman.
Yeah,
And,
if they're able to kind of work together
Mm-hmm.
and these guys fight, I mean, the biggest thing for them is not to give up. That's one of my mottos, not to give up in a race. So if Blake and Gus keep going back and forth, and we have Hayden trying to maybe work together with Jackson, I mean, that could be really good for them to hopefully pull back up to this group.
And these guys, Jackson Blackman and Hayden Schultz, remember, are second and third in the point. So, you know, there's a lot more on the line just here than that battle for the podium. They're looking to maintain a really solid points run.
You also have to think
yeah.
about Gus too. I mean, he won at Daytona, got a 1-2 at Daytona, and now he's in second place. So I bet he's thinking about championship right now, and obviously he's going to go out and try to win, but he's thinking he's in a good spot and to come out in front of everyone else right now.
And just show him that consistency he has moving
Yeah.
up to the Twins Cup. I mean, it didn't take him long to adjust to that bike at all.
And for some, you know, when they make the step up to the other Twins Cup, they just feel it better. It seems. And hey, these two are having a great little duel for this final podium spot. And I mean, kudos to Hayden Schultz and that crew.
Yeah,
for
to get back out.
getting it back out. That was just fantastic.
One thing I did notice about Blake, though, is when he comes into turn 5, it almost looks like he runs a little bit wide some of the times he gets into there. I'm not sure if that's trying to get a better run out of the corner, or what else it is, if he's just having trouble getting the bike slowed into there, because I have seen a few times he lifts that rear wheel, and, you know, going into that corner is not always the best feeling. So it looks like
Gus just
they're
went
trying
by
to,
him.
trying to draft each other. This is good, though. If they continue to just draft each other, not mess each up in the corner, it's pretty good.
Here's a look at Blake's team. They are watching very intently, as you would imagine. And, you know, right there, pretty savvy stuff. You know, just watching here the way that, you know, we were talking about, can Jackson Blackman and Schultz work together? Well, these two guys up front, I'm not seeing a lot of defense and trying to slow somebody down. If a guy gets a run, the other one just lets him go right now. They want to keep stretching that margin out and get that buffer, don't they?
And you seen Gus look over his shoulder coming out of turn 7, and he knew that they had that little bit of a gap.
Yep.
So he can start being a little bit aggressive. He doesn't have to worry about if he slows each other up, making it a 4-router battle. He knows these two right now, if they just keep doing what they're doing, it's going to be between these two.
Yeah, this is the first time we've kind of seen Gus lead through this section, so it looks like Blake's just running right with him, so it's good to see that they're both pretty equal through here. Even Blake kind of caught him up a little bit there. Oh, bunch of front chatter from Blake Davis there.
Well, you were talking about how hard he's pushing through that section of track. Oh, problem here for Joe Lamondre is he is plummeting down the order. We're not sure what it is. We get a report it's definitely some sort of mechanical issue, but that's unfortunate. And Hayden takes a look there at turn 7.
It's a really hard day for the Altus Motorsports crew. I mean, they've had 3 DNFs so far, so definitely a bummer.
Gus Rodeo last lap, 32.9.
Wow.
It's incredible. That's a new race lap record.
They
That
continue
is
to drop
something
this pace. It's good for Gus. I think right now he's looking to stretch out this gap, and Blake's, I think, also thinking about the fact that they have this gap, and he's not going to do something that's going to slow up their little group there. So if Blake can just hang on to the last few laps here, it'll be good for him to be in that draft, hopefully make some moves down into 10A, and, you know, that would be my spot right now. If I was in Blake's shoes, I would just wait right where he is in second place, hang on to Gus, and wait till that last lap to make some of those passes.
Did he just do it again?
32.8 by Gus Rodeo again.
Well, that's his
And also
second.
32.9 by Blake Davis. So they're both running some really, really fast laps.
Second under the previous race lap record.
These guys are just absolutely.
And when you look
Hitting
at this too, it's some of the youngest riders in the field.
Yeah.
So it shows you how the Junior Cup class and in classes underneath it, I mean, we're coming up and we're trying to go for it. So
and, I mean, this is incredible for these two guys just pushing each other like that. That's going
to a different level,
to a new level.
Yep, and that's what you love about it. You know, when you see that kind of competition. I thought you said these two guys, two of the youngest. It just shows you that they don't know any better.
They're going for it, and
exactly.
It's super cool to see. And you know, we have some guys back here, Hayden Schultz and Jackson Blackman, going at it too. And I think at this point in the race, they know that they're not going to be able to catch Gus and Blake. So their biggest thing is to hopefully hold on to each other and not mess each other up too much, and hopefully have a clean rest of the race. And obviously one of them is going to come out in third.
And their strategy is kind of the same, the two guys in the front. They have their own battle for that last podium spot, trying to see if they can make the draft on the last lap. Where can I be the best spot to get that last podium?
You know, I'm sorry, there's another great battle going on between Stefano Mesa. Chris Parrish is up into 6th from 10th, and Dominic Doyle up to 7th from 12th. And they're covered by just a couple of seconds. So that one's a good scrap as well.
32.8 by Blake Davis. So they're pushing the pace right now, and each lap faster and faster. One thing I was going to point out is the different riding styles from Blake to Gus. I mean, as a racer, you always kind of look at the things. And for me, I'm obviously studying these guys as we watch, but you have those two different styles of riding, and obviously you see Gus a lot more on the front of the motorcycle, and Blake's kind of centered. So it's kind of interesting to see where one person's where one person is better and one person is worse.
And the other thing too is, you know, how much of that is bike? You know, because one is a Yamaha, one's an Aprilia, so they may just work a little bit differently. But both of them have clearly figured it out. And I mean, they're running laps right now a second faster than the guys running in third and back. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, and they're still pushing the pace. I mean, their sector times are still really fast. So I think we're catching up to lappers now. So I think even with this, they're going to catch some of that draft, and it's going to keep going into a faster pace.
I think so too. Getting that toe off of the lap bikes, both of them getting through clean. And look at this move by Davis, deep on the brakes, and makes it stick at the exit of 10A. Roger, that was a beauty.
Yeah, that was a great play. Blake last year was really aggressive and really strong on the brakes, and that's going to come into play there going into turn 10, because it's going to come down to a braking duel, I think, on the last lap.
Yeah, and it's always good for him to have that knowledge that he has that going into the last corner, and having those I guess run-throughs going into that last lap. It's good to understand where to be and where your braking marker is, how far you can really push it. And yeah, so now Gus, I think, is just going to sit back and study this. I'd honestly be surprised if he goes and passes him right now, because if I was one of them, I'd want to be Gus, being behind and studying.
Well, he can see this lap now. He's going to get a dress rehearsal for the last lap. Can I make the pass? And if he does it, I think he will follow that last lap. But he feels like he can't make the draft, he might try to make the move sooner.
It looked like Gus just had a little bit of a moment up in turn 3, and it lost him about 4 bike lengths.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a big slinky effect right now, honestly. It's some gain in a little bit, and then they just bring it back. So it's going to be a pretty wild last lap. I think they're both going to go at it. Gus having a little bit of a look back to see who's behind him, and see Gus right there. He's pushing this draft. So right now he's trying to make him as big as possible.
See his knees out like that. He doesn't want to pass.
I mean, this is smart from Gus, because by not leading right now, he'll be able to have that advantage going into the back straight, and hopefully to be able to outbrake Gus outbrake Davis and draft him to the line.
And you'll see on the next lap, he's going to have them knees. He's not going to have them out like a parachute. But that's a good move. He felt like I said, a good dress rehearsal. Now we'll see if he can do it on the lap that counts.
White flag out, 1 lap to go. And what he's got to be careful, Gus, does is he doesn't want to get that run too soon, because we've seen you go by, and we saw Blake do it already, where he just tucks back in, pops out, and then just dive bombs you on the brake. So this is going to be an interesting study here.
Blake needs to get through here as clean as possible, but Gus is going. He's pushing it right now, and they both need to just have a clean lap. And with Gus or Blake right now, it's going to be super important to try to pull as much of a gap, because he knows Gus is going to draft him on the back straightaway. Definitely got out of turn 5 there a bit better than some of the previous laps. And you see Blake kind of defending that inside going into turn 6 here.
And Blackman and Schultz having a similar battle for that final spot on the podium, so behind them. But we're watching this one. This is for the win. Here we go. Last time out of the most crucial corner on the track, turn number 7. And certainly Rodeo is close enough. Let's see what happens. And he laid back a little bit so that he would get the toe, didn't he?
If I was Rodeo, I'd kind of give him a little bit of a gap and wait to the very end of the straightaway to draft him.
And get right behind him,
Yeah.
like directly behind him.
That's exactly what he's
Blake's doing
guys.
exactly what he needs to do.
Oh.
There he goes. So that's really cool. Really cool to see that Blake was able to just defend that line, break as late as possible. Now he just has to be sure that he's going to get a good run out of this last few corners here.
Ooh, Gus lifted that front end up a little bit, so that doesn't help. But I'll tell you, that defense by Blake was brilliant, wasn't it? All right.
It looks like Blake
Checker
Davis
is out,
come to the line.
and what a run by Blake Davis. That's an immense defense here. Meanwhile, here is that battle. Hayden got through. Hayden got through on Jackson Blackman. What a story. Crashing on the warm-up and coming back and grabbing the podium in an absolutely great scrap. Look at that Davis and Rodeo going, well, that was fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
great racing by both of those little groups there. And now we see Stefano Mesa, Dominic Doyle, Cassie Heiser, both 5, 6, 7, Chris Parrish in 8, Cody Wyman 9th, and Ray Hoffman in 10th.
Yeah, Dominic moved up smartly there right at the end.
Good
and,
ride
unfortunately
for
for
him.
Parrish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed that,
He
didn't
needed to see the checkered flag.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the pace is kind of interesting here. We see that last lap was quite a bit slower than previous laps. But yeah, definitely great ride by Blake, really smart. And I think with Gus, he should have maybe tried to be in that draft a little bit more. And obviously with Blake, he was defending that line going into 10.
Did you notice it too when he was drafting me? He was off to the right a little bit instead of being directly behind him.
From kind of stuff I was trying to do here at Road Atlanta last year, I mean, he was trying to set it up to where he was going to draft Blake right at the end of the straightaway, so Blake wouldn't really be able to pass him toward the braking zone or get right back into his draft. So definitely didn't really pay out for Gus, but either way, he got a podium, and he's going to come out of this race with a decent points lead.
Yeah, and Blake just covered that perfectly, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was like he had eyes in the back of his head, and that's called track awareness. That's race awareness, and doing an absolutely stellar job with that. And I mean, obviously, we are talking about it. There are some serious points implications with again now Blake Davis, 4th in the points coming in, but only only a little bit off from the guys in front. So that's going to be really big for Blake and get him seriously back up into contention here. And that was a heady ride by a very young but talented guy.
Yep, exactly.
REV'IT Twins Cup coverage is brought to you by REV'IT Apparel, Design, Innovation, and Performance. REV'IT. By Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Wow, what an absolutely thrilling battle. 2 of them, really, with Blake Davis and Gus Rodeo, and then Hayden Schultz and Jackson Blackman. Absolutely fantastic. And for Blake Davis, making his way down now into Victory Circle and the podium area. And we're going to be hearing from him in just a moment. But just great racing. The guys up front, had it covered, obviously, finishing over 6 seconds clear of the battle for 3rd. But how about it? Hayden Schultz having that problem, going down on the installation lap and coming back to the podium. That is just remarkable. Let's take a look here at the provisional results. There you see it. Blake Davis finishing a 1/4 of a second clear of Gus Rodeo. A lot of the laps, it was a lot closer than that. Then Schultz getting through on that last lap and sneaking through, picking up the final spot on the podium. Jackson Blackman in 4th. Stefano Mesa hanging on, just a consistent 5th while they're trying to dial things up a little bit. Dominic Doyle, the ride he needed from 12th to 6th. Cassidy Heiser getting around Chris Parrish at the end as well. Parrish back in 8th. Cody Wyman in the 9th spot, also coming up from Junior Cup. Ray Hoffman rounding out your top 10. Daniel Garver, Chase Brown, Darren James, Trevor Standish, Jacob Crossman, and the rest of the field. And the riders now over their bike staged over in the Victory Circle and podium area. And looking forward to hearing from this young man. He takes that helmet off, and I just can't believe how young he looks, but he races with such a mature head on his shoulder. Let's get down and hear from our winner with Angel Sampe.
I'm down here with your winner, Blake Davis. It definitely started off a little rough, but you finished in the first place. It was an exciting race. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so much fun. I had a blast out there riding with Gus. We were just going back and forth the whole time. So it was definitely a ton of fun. I'd like to thank Yamaha, Into, Bobblehead, Westby, just everyone that's helped me out this year. Chris Smith, amazing. Couldn't do it without the whole Into team, and just an amazing ride.
Awesome. Congratulations.
All right, and man, did he give it a good one. You know, defending champion, you know he's certainly fast and capable here. But for Gus Rodeo, stepping up from Junior Cup and just right on it and able to win one in the first weekend that the series ran, really impressive as well. And Angela's ready.
All right, I finally grabbed Gus. I saw you guys were battling it out pretty hard, trying to get that first place. Second place is definitely something to be proud of. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I feel good. After a tough qualifying and not one of my strongest tracks, so to be up on the podium, our goal is to keep the podium streak going, and we're doing that so far. It was a fun race with Blake. He obviously is the champ, so I'm learning a lot from him, and I'm learning a lot just stepping up into a bigger class and just trying to keep progressing. So thanks to my whole team, HJC Helmets, Moto Liberty, thank you, Audrey, NJ Mini GP, Luckstar VIP, Trackside Parts Club, thank you, Justin, for all your support. I said Luckstar VIP, Geoscape Solar, and everyone else behind me, thank you.
You made it exciting for us. Congratulations.
Boy, didn't he? And I'll tell you what, you know, he made a good point. Following Blake, the defending champion like that, that's time to go to school. And I think, you know, he was doing that as well. Not that he wasn't trying to go for the win, but wow. Speaking of a great story, Hayden Schultz, third. Angel?
Definitely a great story here with Hayden. It did not start the way you wanted it, but it definitely finished in a great way for you today.
Yeah, no, you never imagine your race to start with a crash on the warm-up lap. So that was the craziest thing. Just kind of tangled up with Jody, so hopefully he's all good. But yeah, the first thing on my mind was first I got to get out from under this bike, but now I got to make sure that it's still going, and luckily it was running. And considering the crash, there was minor damage. So I figured, man, if I can get this back to the pit and see if we can throw a new foot peg on it and get back on the track, that we had a shot. I felt really good all weekend, so to get back on the steed and come home with the podium with bent handlebars and just kind of a bike that's a little tweaked right now, man, that's the best third place I've ever had. And your championships are won on your best day or on your worst days. So let's hope that we made the most of this and salvage as many points as possible. But those guys are rolling, so we've got our work cut out to see if we can improve and just come back tomorrow and put it further up on the box. But it's not going to be easy.
So what exactly did happen out there with Jody?
You know, not sure. We just got out there on the warm-up lap, and it looked like he just had a moment coming out of 5, which I've seen it happen many times. I'm just usually not caught right behind it. So he's high-sided right in front of me. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I got collected, ended up going down, and kind of got caught under the bike and drug along. So I did a little damage to my beautiful 4SR leathers, unfortunately. But unfortunately, that's racing sometimes. So luckily, the bike wasn't too bad.
Phenomenal comeback. Congratulations.
Well, those 4SR leathers doing the job. If he was trapped underneath them and you know, able to come back and go for it here. And let's take another look at the highlights from this one. And you can see that great start there by Blake out in front and doing a really nice job. And the battling just commenced right from the off, Roger.
Right away, I'm just having an out-braking duel every lap there between those two headed into turn 10. Early in the race, we had a four-rider battle. See Rocco Landers there smoking. His race ended right there.
Hand up right away, obviously letting all the riders know, but then hand down and frustrated. You can see the smoke coming out of the top there of the bike. That's you know, something to consider as well. And then this battle started, and it was fierce.
And not only that battle for the win, but also a battle between Jackson Blackman and Hayden Schultz for the last podium spot.
I think it'll be interesting tomorrow if both Hayden Schultz and Jackson Blackman can bridge that gap to Blake and Gus, and also having Rocco Landers in the mix again will definitely be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it will. And here you see number 49 Schultz after that off in the warm-up, or the outlap, if you will, coming back and putting it on the podium. But again, just Gus Rodeo showing every intent of being able to draft by, and then Blake Davis defending it to absolute perfection and bringing home the win. Of course, we've got another day of activity here in the Superbikes from MotoAmerica at Atlanta. We're going to start up with a morning warm-up at 9:20. That's our broadcast schedule. We've got a couple other of the classes we'll be warming up before that, but on MotoAmerica Live Plus, 9:20, it all starts with the Superbike warm-up, and then once we get done with the warm-ups, we are just racing all the way through to the end of the day, and it should be spectacular. The weather promises to be almost identical to this afternoon. Not going to get any better than that. It's fantastic. A huge thank you to Kayla for doing a lot of work with us here and coming up for this REV'IT Twins Cup race, and of course to Roger Hayden and to Angel Sampe doing an absolutely fabulous job in her debut, coming over from the drag bike racing scene and exploring things here in motorcycle road racing with MotoAmerica. A big thanks. I'm Greg Creamer. It's been an absolute treat, and have seen some fabulous racing today. More to come tomorrow, so make sure you are with us right here on MotoAmerica Live Plus, as well as if you're at the track. Remember, we're going to be back with you nice and early. And look at that, Javi Flores. That was a nosy, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Whatever you do tonight, do it safely and have a lot of fun.